I am Dr. D. Vasudevan, Chief General Manager, Varanasi Smart City. Varanasi Smart City is one of the 100 smart cities selected by the Smart City Missions Government of India. This is 10 among 10, there were 10 cities selected in Uttar Pradesh. Varanasi is one among them.
Sir, can you say what is the key highlight of this street project?
Well, all the projects what Varanasi Smart City has undertaken in the city was oriented towards catering to the needs and the functional requirements of this city, which is visited by millions of tourists, especially the pilgrims and religious tourists. And there are 6 wards which were taken up, which is in and around the Sri Kashi Vishwanath temple, the main attraction of the city, for which people come from all parts of the world. And these were age-old cities, centuries old, or I don't know more than that, because Varanasi is considered to be one of the oldest living city in the world, maybe 5,000 years old, people say even older than that. And these streets, they are hardly to be called streets because they are very, very narrow lanes. Some are as narrow as 2.5 feet to 3 feet. And you find on both sides 3 to 4 story buildings, because this city has grown vertically over the years and in and around the temple. One of the biggest challenge of these cities were the water supply, sewerage lines were age old. Age old means we didn't know when they were laid. So when we dig up some of the streets, some of the lanes, we find several layers of water supply and sewer lines which were built over the years. The Varanasi Nagar Nigam or Jalkal Vibhag don't have any map or network of these lanes, but people have been living there in large numbers. It's one of the densely populated city. So when we took up this project, it was a very big challenge because the life cannot be disrupted. People were living on both sides of the small narrow lanes, so they need to continue to live. Their vehicles, mostly two-wheelers, continue to move. On the top of that, there are some cows and animals, stray animals also move and live in these narrow lanes. Without disrupting that, we have dug up these lanes, replaced the water supply, sewerage network, and on the top of that there were a number of electricity cables lying on the top. So without disrupting, without stopping any of the services, we have relaid the water supply, sewerage lines, and replaced the entire pavement. This was one of the most challenging engineering assignments anybody would have ever taken, and Varanasi Smart City, there were numerous challenges. Since we said the work can happen only when the people go to sleep. So when the people go to sleep, maybe around 10, 11 o'clock at night, we start the work, and we need to finish early morning before the life resumes. That was one of the biggest challenge. There were no place to store these pipes and other construction material we will bring in. We replaced all the manholes, we reconstructed all the pits. That was again a challenge. And there was no place to stack the constructed material and earthwork. Each of these material need to be removed then and there, and again no vehicle, no tractor, no truck can come inside this. These had to be manually removed or with the on the back of that donkeys. So this was one of the most challenging, and under these very challenging circumstances the work was completed. And these lanes are all very, very famous because they are all leading to either Kashi Vishwanath temple or several smaller temples in the vicinity. And again devotees keep coming there every day from all parts of the country. So it was the most challenging job, and all the walls on both sides were painted and with some religious and other artistic views, and each has to be the thematic based around the temple which is leading to, or the mythological, historical, religious importance of these gullies. So it was the most challenging job, and it was accomplished. A lot of issues, some local resistance, some vested interests, some people stopping the work, beating the labor, and a lot of this type of human interventions were also required. It's one of the most challenging assignment which we are very proud we could successfully complete. And they used to have a problem of sewerage stagnation low water pressure, and all these problems have been removed. We have relayed these lines and everything, services are restored, and the people living in these lanes are extremely happy about it.
So, like you talked about pushback from the stakeholders, how did you deal with it?
Well, there were some, each ward or as a local municipal councillor, some were very cooperative and helpful. They intervened and helped us in troubleshooting with the bad elements and get the work going. And in some cases, the municipal councils themselves have been obstacle, and due to so many other, uh, political differences and other things. But by and large, these are problems we do encounter, because when you relay the flooring and the levels, these are age-old houses. Some houses will be falling below that, some will go above. So there are always the individual who fight for their vested interest. Eventually, they all come to terms and understand this work is going to help them. This project is going to uplift their, surroundings and enhance the environmental sanitation and look. And finally, everybody fell into place, and I think we could complete what we intended to do.
So, how did you engage with the community during this process?
Well, we had a public relation officer who was very effective, and we had to engage him intensively, because that much of engagement is not required, and we need to counsel them, we need to call them in groups, sometime go and explain. Sometime each group or each street has got a leader, we need to counsel with them. We take the help of the police wherever required, and all type of counseling and persuasion and community participation. It all did help. We used all these social engagement methods to also tackle this project, which is not generally required for other projects.
And what would be your advice to other similar cities who want to do such challenging projects?
Well, the most important thing is the planning, because there are very few cities who have this kind of similar scenario, but there are several of them in the historical old places which has the narrow lanes, which more or less has the same problem. So first you do the very detailed planning. It's very difficult to know what's below the ground. So then you anticipate what all could happen, and maybe they could interact with smart cities or organizations like this who dealt with this project. And I think there are a lot of learnings from this project, how to do a project like this. So how to deal with this night working, what kind of contingency plans need to be done, what can go wrong, so what kind of preventive measures to be done. I think the detailed planning and a kind of preparedness to deal with any kind of emergencies, because you can't stop life of the people. However good work they are doing, they also understand it will be eventually good for them. But the temporary disruption of life, the day-to-day life and these things, someone has been parking a two-wheeler in front of his house for ages. Now suddenly you find that place is dug up, he has nowhere to go. It definitely creates a challenge. So we need a little bit of humanitarian approach to handle them, request them to park in some other, maybe a park outside or in a nearby location. Maybe extending the help from other governmental organizations. Maybe a public or park could be opened for a temporary parking of these two-wheelers. Like this, you have to have a very practical humanitarian approach. I think everything can be solved if you approach with a human mind and heart.